And we are continuing with the third day of the Cavalcade of Authors Readers Appreciation event. We have all kinds of authors, all genres, and back to back, we're having people who have a spiritual spin on the reading, because and it's probably a good thing because now we're about to bring some of the wicked authors in. So get this all prayed up because we've got Shakir coming in. We've got Jan Untamed, and they write the kind of stuff that we need to repent from after we read it. Like, Lord, bless me for I have sinned. So I thank you, and I brought you here today. Let me show everyone your book. It's coming out in February. It'll be an ebook. You're working on the ebook version of it now because it needs to be updated.
Yes.
Because you wrote it about what 15 years ago.
It's been a while.
And so now there's some message and news in there that is different than when you first wrote it, the healing modalities. And I thought it would be interesting for people to know you are my sexual abuse, well, were, but you still are. You know, I had the sessions and you gave me the healing techniques that I needed to heal from sexual abuse, physical abuse that happened early in my childhood from my mother, from my aunt, and I'm sorry, from my mother, well, and my uncle and my father. So you were very beneficial in starting my writing career because my writing career started as for me for my healing. And I want you to tell a little bit about yourself. How did you get into the field of this kind of therapy?
Well, it started a long time ago. I always wanted to be a doctor, and that didn't work out. What I understood later is that what I wanted to be was a healer. And so when I was in high school, I helped a friend of mine who wanted to commit suicide. And she called me in the middle of the night, and I helped to work through the anguish and the pain that she was going through. And I decided I really enjoyed helping people, especially women, but I enjoyed helping people to find their space. And as a therapist, that is what I feel we do. We help others to heal themselves. I'm a guide, but you do the work. You do the healing. And so in over the years, I've learned different techniques that help others to heal and to become whole. I worked a lot of years at the YWCA as a sexual assault survivor. I ran some groups, I did some of the training for sexual assault survivor therapists, and just to see the difference that happens with families, what happens with individuals. Um, I had a client who would not go outside after her sexual assault. She would not go out. She was afraid to go to the door. So, in coming up with creative ways to help her to move, to get closer to the door, and every week is a process because it took her from being able to walk to the door. And next time we would open the door. And each time we moved a step for her healing. But in all of that, she's doing the work. I am there um, as a cheerleader, as a guide, as somebody to be supportive. But the person is doing the work. So it is, for me, it is such a joy to be able to see people move from being in fear to, even though they're in fear, to making that step and being able to walk up to the fear and still do what's necessary. That's a joy. I love helping people to work with their own self to heal. And then there's so many different ways to do that. And of course, over the years, I added other things and learned other techniques to help others to heal. And it's like you did, love is an inside job. Healing's an inside job. It's all about learning how to love yourself more, and how in loving ourselves more, we have to sometimes take those steps that's scary. We have to take those risks that will open up a different life for us. And that's when we learn how to love who we are. And not based on anything anybody else is saying, but based on learning who we truly are. And that's from a spiritual perspective. I'm a therapist that deals with a lot of spiritual perspectives, not to change anybody's religion, but to show them that God loves them. Because many of the clients that would come to me, they would come in feeling like that they had done something wrong, that they had sinned, that they were bad people. And so I work with them to let them know that God is not looking at us and deciding that we're bad. That's society. But that we have to begin to know who God is in us. You know, God is with us all the time, and not being judgmental. People around us judge us. But as we learn how to love ourselves, those judgments still may hurt. I'm not saying that they may not hurt, but we learn how to move past them. We learn how to let people have their judgments and love who we are. And so I enjoy that. I enjoy that. That brings joy to me to see someone begin to have some peace in their mind, some happiness in their lives, some appreciation of who they are. And a lot of times when people are abused in however way, physical, mental, emotional, sexual, they lose a lot of that and they don't appreciate who they are. And so I work with helping them to learn how to appreciate who they are and make other decisions. Because see, when you appreciate who you are, you make a different decision than you did when you thought you were sinful, when you thought that you weren't good for anything. You make different decisions about who you are and what you're going to do with your life and what's your next steps. So that's what I do in therapy, using different modalities and however spirit leads me. So I'm spiritually directed. I am a licensed clinical social worker, so I know all of the educational and the school academia kind of therapy, but I integrate what that person needs, because talk therapy is good, but you may need to integrate a lot of other things in there in order to help a person move. Because when the woman would not move, wouldn't go outside the door, I just couldn't talk to her to move her from sitting in that chair to standing on the porch. We did several other things in order to do that, because she needed something different. And so I do different things with different members. We do visual work, we do vision boards, we go out in the park and do artwork, do some hypnotherapy, some EFT, whatever it takes to help that particular person. We do artwork, we write journals, all kinds of things. We do affirmations. So, and we do talk therapy. So there's a lot of talk therapy, but you have to pull in what's needed for that person. And so I try to listen to my indwelling spirit and what may be helpful for that person. And I check with them, see what they're feeling, and we go from there.
Indeed. Let me put this on the screen real quick because I need people to understand and know that you're available right now. You're taking new clients, and in this time, a lot of people are staying at home safe, right, and kind of need help and probably don't know who to reach out to. Because here's the thing, it's different when you have a lot of life between your issues. You may have something going on at home, but you get to go off to work for 8 hours and be away from all of that and only have to deal with it in small segments. But now there are people who are staying at home that are in the issues, their marriage, the things that have happened to them in their past. And those things are happening, and it's more prevalent now because we're doing a lot of spending a lot of time with ourselves. And there's some people who can't stand being at home with themselves. Right. And this is the time to do some of the inside work.
And,
And I
there's
think
a
it's
real
important.
increase in depression
Increase.
because people are home. There's an increase in depression. People can't get out. And, and so they need something additional, So we try to come up with creative ways to do things for yourself, with yourself and others. So in the winter, and it's the winter time. Winter time many times bring up increased depression anyway. And so being at home and being winter and just some of the life things that people are going through, there has been a great increase in depression of people.
I've actually been with you at a time you get a call from the hospital because somebody is actually about to jump off a ledge. They are about to commit suicide, and you are the person that hospitals call in for people who are ready to make that drastic step, that the pain has gotten so bad that they're ready to take their own lives. That holding people in the gap like that takes a certain level of strength and balance. How do you center yourself after carrying the weight of all of these people? Because I know you know the details of all of these people's lives, all of their pain. You're absorbing all of that. What do you do to find your center after all of this thing that are happening?
I get centered in the I am present. I take the pain that a person may have. I do my meditation. I give it to God. I ask God to show me what to do for that person, how to do it. Is there anything that I could do? Sometimes what I have to do is just pray for them, surround them in light and love, and let it go, knowing that God will send whatever else they need. Sometimes I may be at home and Spirit will say, call somebody. And it's just at the right time that they need to hear that. And so for me, trying to stay in center and touching that Spirit of God and allowing God to work through me. So now God may say, okay, get up and dance around the room. So that dancing may release some tension and stress. I may not know who that's coming from, but I'll be releasing my stress and your stress, because that's how God works. It may say, okay, you just need to sit and get quiet. So what I really try to do is make sure I get centered, that I make sure that I do the things that I need to do to make sure that I'm balanced. And when I do find myself sometime out of balance, the Creator always tells me what to do so that I can get back in balance. Because being out of balance and trying to help somebody else, I don't want to do anything that would cause another person any kind of pain. So I work with doing what I need to do spiritually to stay balanced. Have some fun, drink a little wine. What's that song? Get down tonight. What's the name? So those kinds of things, listening to. I call you sometime, get a laugh because you're funny, and you make me laugh. And all those things help to balance. And so that is so important as a healer to stay balanced. It's important for all of us to stay balanced. But for me, as I'm talking about me, it's important for me as a healer to stay balanced. And when I say a healer, I'm saying that in the aspect that I help people to heal themselves. I don't heal. I help other people to heal themselves and to touch that place where God is, so that they can move to the space to be healed, that they'll allow themselves to open up to be healed. Because see, a lot of times you reach people and they're not ready to heal. They're not ready to heal because they have so many negative thoughts about themselves, so many unforgiving thoughts. And so I work with them to move through some of that, so that just a little bit, if you just move one step at a time. And sometimes that's all you do, is you move one step at a time. And one day you wake up and it's wide open. But sometimes it's a step by step by step. And it doesn't happen overnight. And a lot of times people come to a therapist and they think that, okay, I can go one day, I can tell you this, and it's going to all go away. It does not work that way. And in fact, a lot of times I tell people that come for therapy is that you really want to think about if you want to be in therapy, because many times as you go into therapy, you start bringing up stuff that brings you pain. And nobody wants pain. So they stop coming, because, hey, this feels worse than when I started. But for those who continue, you work through that. And so you begin to be at that point where the pain may come, but you look at it differently. Say, oh yeah, but I'm going through, I'm healthy, and I'm gonna make it through this. And so it's a process. It's a process.
It just reminded me when you said that, you may have, like, you get a sore on your arm and you put a Band-Aid on it to cover it up. And so you don't see it necessarily, it's been covered up. But I think therapy can be sort of like you ripping that Band-Aid back off so it can get some air, so it can heal totally, because with it being too covered, it doesn't get enough air and everything it needs to finally heal and go away. That's what therapy can feel like at times, because I know for me, it's an ongoing thing. It's an ongoing thing. There are things that come up that I have totally forgotten in writing recently that I had forgotten when I was 12. I forgot that something happened, and I'm 50. Well, yeah. Okay. I'm 54. I got to remember I'm 1+ year older than Jeremy, because my mother lied on my birth certificate to get me in work early. And I have never gotten my age thing right since, whether it was up or down. But it was something that happened when I was 12 years old. And I just remembered it, but I had the tools in line. It wasn't as painful as if it would have come up 10, 15 years ago. Now I have the tools to help deal with those things, because as women, we move about life and we keep moving, and we just put that pain in the background. I'm a big girl now. I should deal with it. But one of the major things you told me, because I felt I was a grown woman and I should be able to handle all of that stuff that happened, is that you deal with your childhood pain. You're still back there in that time. That pain hurts from back then, and you still deal with it as a child. That little child in you needs to heal and meet up with the adult woman, but that child is still hurting. That was when you gave me that visual, because I was feeling bad that, I'm strong. I'm a strong Black woman. I'm this, I'm that. But why should I let this bother me? This has been years ago, years ago. And when you said the child in you, your pain is stuck right there in the time that it happened. You have to heal that time and bring it forward. Yeah. That was the most powerful understanding that I could walk away with.
And pain gets stuck in our body. Somebody may have a pain and they don't even know what the pain is coming from. But abuse of any kind can get stuck in our bodies. And we have to clear that for ourselves, because that pain can move into dis-ease in the body. And so we have to heal each part of ourselves. And journaling, writing books is a wonderful method to heal, because you're letting it out. And we as Black women, and maybe women in general, but I'm going to say Black women because I know more about Black women, that I had lots of sisters that came to me, got raped, they got up, brushed themselves off and went home and didn't tell anybody, because they felt like they had to be strong for everybody else. They get blamed, well, you shouldn't have been out at 10:30, you shouldn't have been this, you shouldn't have been that. So they kept all that pain inside. And because society says we as Black women are strong, we can deal with everything. We just have to brush it off and move on. But what happens is a lot of those Black women that did that are now experiencing all kinds of ailments and depressions, and they don't know why. But we have hid all of that stuff inside of us rather than attempting to work through it. Because for a long time, if you were raped or any of that, even if you went to the police, there was no comfort there. There was nobody to say, okay, let me help you. So women were blamed for it wherever they went, in their homes, with their families. And so nowadays it's not as bad as that. There are all kinds of resources, but we keep so much stuff inside and don't allow ourselves to deal with it. That's why your writing has, and all women who journal is a wonderful healer for all kinds of things.
Indeed, indeed. So you're saying now during this interesting time in the world, that there's been more people who have experienced depression. Uh, what advice would you give for them to seek out, because this is going to go out and people will see it? What would you tell them to do first and foremost to get the help that they need with that depression, or even identify that they are in that state?
Winter depression is because of the lack of light. And so a lot of times you want to make sure you get as much sunlight as you can. You want to make sure there's a lot of light around, but also to do something that you find fun. Do something that would be fun. And if you start doing things that are fun or make you feel good, or you can talk to somebody without them being judgmental, that helps. Or find a therapist. You can call, if you have insurance, you can call your insurance company and tell them that you're looking for a therapist. You can start journaling. You can start keeping a record of the times that you feel bad, and so that you can look at, okay, I noticed that at 8 o'clock at night, I start feeling bad every night. And so if you start keeping a journal of what's happening, you have something, point where to start with the therapist or with yourself to be able to make a change. And do fun things. We're stuck in the house, and so a lot of people say, well, I can't do anything. You turn on the TV and look at some funny stuff, look up some comedy, call some of your friends who are funny, call somebody that you can talk to, that you can trust. If you're not afraid to go outside, go for a walk. Walk up and down in front of your building, to get out, to make some movement. And exercise is one thing that helps with depression. It's been proven scientifically that it will help lift depression. There are also, if you have a light depression, there are also herbs and tinctures you can take to help you with that.
Yeah, you put me on the one that they have for that they immediately give to women who have been raped. There's a tincture for that, and I thought that was amazing what those particular herbs can do. But another thing that you told us, that we need to dance. We need to dance. Put the music on and just dance, dance, dance. It's the movement, but also music that brings memories of good times. And for me, it brought family reunions and church picnics and things of that sort. Those basking in those memories have helped lift those areas when we're not feeling quite so great. Yeah.
And some of the, in terms of dance, especially in terms of Afrocentric kind of religions, and even in church, you think about it, you go to church, they start doing the holy dance, they get up and they say, oh God, I feel good. Because you're releasing that. In like Sarah said, in some of the other Afrocentric religions, they dance, healing dances. We're in a Heteru cycle. In Heteru, at this time, they're doing healing movements with the body, just moving the body to bring about healing. And so dance is for fun, but it has so many other attributes that will help you to heal. And so we just have to look at some of the things our ancestors did. They did it because they knew. They have to dancing and
Chanting and
the
all of that
spirit
stuff.
takes over and release comes.
Yes.
But dance is wonderful.
Indeed. I'm going to show this one more time and then we're going to wrap up to tell people this is how to connect with you. 773-457-9085. You do Zoom therapy. So, even if they're not here in Chicago,
Right.
they can still get assistance.
Clients that are not in Chicago.
Yeah. And I'm glad you do children, little children, couples. I mean, a family therapy, I know you've been a blessing in my life. I don't think I would have a writing career right now if it wasn't for you, because I started with that first book. And you told me, because it came about as part of writing, because I was writing the sexy stuff then, I was writing erotica. And you encouraged me to write the erotica, and then it led into full novels. I wrote 6 novels over a 2-year period, and I write longhand. It was on yellow tablets and blue ink. And you told me from that first one that I did, those first chapters of those short stories, the central stories, to keep writing. And I started writing that and writing my pain, and that's where those six full novels within a 2-year period on tablets, and those about 100,000 words per novel. I had to cut them back, but there was a lot. And that was the best advice that you could have ever given me, because like I said, I would not have a writing career right now. I didn't even think of it, that writing and putting little segments of my pain and not just the pain, but how I healed from it, worked it into the fabric of the book. So I thank you for that. There would not be a Naleighna Kai if Sesvalah had not been there to guide the way, and even through the healing when all of that stuff came up. So that was a powerful thing and powerful experience, and I thank you for that.
My pleasure.
Indeed. So you have any parting words for our listening audience?
Practice loving yourself, and whatever that means. And maybe do a little bit of time. When you get up in the morning, look in the mirror and say, boy, I love you. You are so beautiful. This is going to be a fabulous day for you. And be grateful. Find lots of things to be grateful for. There's all kinds of scientific stuff that talks about how gratefulness will change your life, because we know the Bible tells us that, but just by being grateful and giving thanks for where you are, and doors will just open to help you heal, and it will just come to you. But really, love yourself. Love who you are. Love who you are right now. Unconditionally. I'm gonna love you when I, get new makeup. I'm gonna love myself when I do this. Love yourself right here, right now, at this very moment. That's important. That is one of the best things you can do. The Bible tells us all the time. That's the greatest commandment: to love God, love yourself, and love your neighbor. Love who you are, because God created you. And the Bible says we're made in the image and likeness of God. And so how do you say you love God and you don't love yourself? So just practice love. Practice love. And as one of our members says, when she goes to the mirror, she says, boy, God, I like how you look on me. So if you can't say you love yourself, tell God, boy, God, I really like how you look on me today. Practice love.
Indeed. Thank you so much. And you did. That was part of the balance too. It wasn't just writing my pain. You did have me to start writing down what I'm grateful for. When I started feeling a certain way, if I felt low or whatever, you made me to write a list and had to write it over, what I'm grateful for, what I'm thankful for. And then I had to start writing joyous periods of things that I experienced when I was a child, to balance out some of the negative experiences that were kind of embedded in me, that affected my relationships, my relationship with my son, my intimate relationships, my family relationships. But when I started focusing on the gratefulness and as well as the more positive aspects too, it lifted a weight from me. Writing helped with that. It really, truly did. Thank you so much for being with us here today. Indeed. And I did drop the link to Speak It Into Existence. I dropped it in the chat so you all can see that. And once again, thank you, because I was at church before I came here. So I do post in the Literary Cafe. If you don't have a church home, you can, look at the link and you can come. It's every Sunday it starts at 11 on time. And it's a wonderful, it's non-denominational, and we know how to have a good time. So it's not one of those stuffy old fire and brimstone kind of things. I couldn't do that. I stopped going to church for that reason. So I've been with this church almost, what, 20, longer than 20 years. Wow. Y'all getting old. I'm not saying.
We're getting better. We're getting better.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Thank you so
It's been
much.
my pleasure being here with you all.
Indeed, indeed. All right, so we are going to bring up, and I'm going to start the videos for our next folks. There we go. That's our brother in the pen down there. That is Shakir Rashan.
Oh
So
yeah, I saw him. I think I saw him last time.
yes, yes, and he
A
has
pleasure as always, ma'am.
indeed.
Yeah,
He's got
yes,
a segment coming up
got that
next week.
nice, sexy, deep voice.
Yeah, don't blow his head up like that. Oh, hush. Hold on. Let me put this up. Next week we have an event all about success. It's a free event. If you have not, it's with Stephen Barnes, Jason Frost, Shakira Sean, and number one son, JL Woodson. So we'll drop the link into the group if you haven't registered for that. We have a lot of good things going on. So I'm going to push this